Hello everybody, Tracy Sizemore here, RPG A Day 2018, Day 9. Um, Today's question is, how has a game surprised you? Um, and I have two answers there. I'll try to keep this fairly short because I know that the weekend was filled with longer ones. So, one game that surprised me I think I mentioned this last year too, was Velvet Glove. Velvet Glove is a Powered by the Apocalypse game based on girl gangs in the 70s. That's like the quick description, but it actually is much more involved than that. And the idea behind it is that you're playing a gang of teenage girls between the ages of like 14 and 18 in like an inner city sort of environment, something like that, and you've decided to gang together for protection, for camaraderie, to get through this thing called life together. You may drive each other crazy a little bit, but you are a gang for a reason. And that reason is because in the 70s, in the cities in the United States, the world was rife with misogyny and problems. And in this particular case, your character has parents that either don't have time for you or don't care about you. So you have problems. You know, you're in a not a very good school. You are surrounded by people who want to take advantage of you sexually because you're, a burgeoning young woman. And so there's all this stuff going on, and it's normally not a game. I mean, this is not about kicking ass and taking names. Because if you do, there's going to be a bigger problem just right around the corner. It's not about rising above your circumstances, because you probably won't. But normally I would not be attracted to this kind of game, because it's sort of bleak, right? But it turns out it's more complex than that. I don't think I've ever felt more empathetic or more of a cheerleader for the character I was playing than when I played Velvet Glove. Because you're sort of stuck. You're not necessarily going to rise above your situation. You aren't necessarily working toward a bigger goal to like get into college, you know. You're just trying to get through and survive. But at the same time, maybe you're exploring your sexuality, maybe you're rejecting your sexuality. Maybe you're fighting with getting out of the drug trade, or maybe you're embracing the drug trade. Either way, you've got the world arrayed against you because you're a teenage girl in less than ideal circumstances in the 70s. It's a tough game, and yet it's a beautiful game. And it's beautiful because you get to play this character and empathize with them and feel where they're coming from and explore life with them, even though it's a rough life. When the GM knows what they're doing, when they really understand what this game is about, it can be an amazing experience with with players around you who are sort of helping you do it. That one surprised me. Normally I would consider that more in almost a horror genre, like very visceral, very modern horror, because there is no real way to escape your situation. And I suppose it is, but at the same time, it captures horror in a way for me that what horror is about, which is struggling against a situation that's almost hopeless, and yet the struggle is the beautiful part. You know? So, Velvet Glove surprised me. That's one answer. The next answer is LARPing. So I went to and played my first LARP last June at Origins. That was eye-opening. My second LARP I played at Gen Con last August. That solidified it. And that surprised me. I mean, I was interested in LARPing. I'm shy and nervous about it. I mean, I was interested in the dramatic LARP, not so much the boffer LARPs, but not a dramatic LARP in terms of like Vampire, which seems to be the big one, right? I wanted to play something different than that. So at Origins, I played a sort of a mini New World Magiscola LARP about detention. You were playing college students at a wizard college, basically like Harry Potter goes to college, and you're in detention, and there are a couple of werewolves among you, or at least there is at least one werewolf among you, and no one is fessing up to that, but you're going to be there long enough that it's a full moon and it's midnight. It's going to be midnight by the end of the LARP, and somebody is going to turn into a werewolf. And so you have 4 hours to play through that. That was awesome. Very cool. The one that I kind of want to talk about more is the Stranger Things LARP that I played at Gen Con. It was fascinating. It was amazing. And part of that experience for me was getting over my fear of it, right? So I've played 3 LARPs. I can't do very much of that because we don't have much of a LARPing scene here in Tucson, or at least not that I know of. But when I go to cons, big cons, because it has to be of a certain size, I will look at the LARPs and see what options there are. Gen Con, full of cool options. And this one was the Stranger Things LARP, and my experience of it was I went, they gave me the character sheet that I sort of asked for ahead of time, but I didn't have all the particular information for that character. And I was given 20 minutes to study it. And I needed that 20 minutes because I needed to study what my relationships were with other people in the LARP. And there were about 35 of us playing. And I ended up playing this middle school girl who had ambitions on being student council president, but ended up being student council vice president. And she wanted to uncover the drug problem in the high school, and she had a camera around her neck, and she had somebody who was there was something that happened that embarrassed her, like somebody did something prior to the LARP happening that like she was playing spin the bottle or something like that. I can't remember, see, my bad memory again. But anyway, I was super nervous for the first 30 to 40 minutes of the LARP. I mean, to the point where I was unable to do anything. I was wandering around, checking my sheet, looking at name tags of people, and just being super shy, not sure how to engage, and was feeling like, man, this is the biggest mistake of my life. I should not have signed up for this LARP. That happened the first one too, but yet I had a great time. This one, 35 minutes, I was wallflower shy. Couldn't engage, couldn't bring myself to do it. And slowly, I pulled myself into it and started talking to the other players, especially the people that I had on my character sheet as somebody I had a relationship with. And all of a sudden, it started to snowball. And what surprised me about playing a LARP like that was that the disconnect between you and your character, where on tabletop it can be separate. Like, I'm the player here at the table with my dice and my friends, and my character is there in the environment with the other characters. Separate, distinct difference. There's a separation. In a LARP, that separation comes pretty close to you are one and the same with your character. That's an amazing experience. If you're playing a character that you love, especially, and you're playing with people that can engage you in a way that you enjoy, that you becoming your character, you being that person, is a unique experience. And it only happens in LARP. So being able to become Monica, that middle schooler with the glasses that was passionate about things and was frustrated by her place in school and being awkward and all that stuff, was a beautiful experience. And compounded by that, it was compounded by the fact that I was playing with other people who were so great. And I ended up engaging with this woman who was playing like an old boyfriend of mine who was trying to, who's earnestly, but I didn't know this at the time, but whose goal was earnestly to win me back, to at least become friends with me again, not necessarily date me again, but, I mean, you know, middle schoolers, but at least become friends again. And that was her goal for her character who was playing, she was playing a boy. I was playing a girl. And I had my own goals, right? And then there was the plot, the overarching plot of the LARP that neither of us engaged with. Neither of us engaged with that plot. Lots of other people did, but I didn't have to. I just played my character and interacted with people and did my own sort of goals and played my personality and just inhabited myself. It was awesome. Turned out to be highlight of Gen Con last year, playing in the Stranger Things LARP. Pretty close to highlight. I don't know, there was a couple of other awesome highlights there, but that was surprising. And that's what the question is. So, how has a game surprised me? Well, Velvet Glove and playing in my first couple of LARPs, which I plan to do again, even though I'm scared to death of them and I get really nervous and all that. I played another one at Origins this year. It was imperfect, but I still had a great time because I engaged with another player and we ended up, I played, it was a Teenage Supers going to the prom LARP. It was awesome. It was way fun. And I got to engage with somebody else who was so fun to play with. I'm super grateful. And again, that lack of separation between you and your character just enhances it all the more. So, that's my answer. Like it or not. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay.